The Great Train Robbery, the crime that became legend. 15 men stopped a Royal Mail train and stole £2.6 million. That's £58 million today. On August 8, 1963, they pulled off Britain's most famous heist using a fake signal light and inside information. The gang's preparation was meticulous. They bought a remote farmhouse, Leatherslade Farm, as their hideout. They recruited a train driver because their original plan required expertise. Roger Corddry, the inside man, knew exactly which coach carried the money. Car number 2, filled with used banknotes heading for destruction. At 3 a.m., they rigged a signal light using batteries and gloves. The train stopped. They overwhelmed the guards, coaching driver Jack Mills, who never fully recovered. In 15 minutes, they formed a human chain passing 120 money bags. They left behind 63 bags, too heavy to carry. Here's where it went wrong. They played Monopoly at the farmhouse using real money, leaving fingerprints everywhere. Police found the farm. Most were caught within months. Ronnie Biggs escaped prison, fled to Brazil, lived there 36 years as a celebrity fugitive. The money never fully recovered. At least £400,000 vanished forever. The heist inspired countless films. Bruce Reynolds, the mastermind, became a flower seller after prison. He died in 2013, still a folk hero to many. British Rail changed every security protocol because 15 men with a fake light proved their system was worthless. Lufthansa Heist, the Mafia's greatest score. $6 million vanished from JFK Airport in 64 minutes. December 11th, 1978. The largest cash robbery in American history at that time. The FBI called it the perfect crime until the bodies started dropping. Jimmy Burke masterminded it, but here's the twist. It was an inside job from top to bottom. Louis Werner, a cargo agent drowning in gambling debt, provided the layout, schedules, alarm codes. He knew Lufthansa was receiving currency shipments from military exchanges in Germany. That Monday morning held the motherlode. At 3:12 a.m., 6 men entered through an employee entrance. They knew every guard's name, insider info. They pistol-whipped employees, rounded up workers systematically. The alarm was disabled using Werner's codes. They loaded the cash and jewelry into a van, drove away casually. Total violence? Minimal. Total take? Enormous. The aftermath was bloodier than the heist. Burke killed almost everyone involved to avoid sharing. 10 associates died within 6 months, shot, stabbed, frozen in meat trucks. The film Goodfellas immortalized it. Henry Hill testified, entering witness protection. The money disappeared completely. Burke gave some to the Lucchese crime family, spent lavishly, but most vanished. Only Werner went to prison for the actual heist. Burke died in prison in 1996 for other murders. $6 million caused 15 deaths. The FBI recovered nothing.
Antwerp Diamond Heist, the heist of the century. Leonardo Notarbartolo spent 3 years planning to rob the Antwerp Diamond Center's vault. In February 2003, he stole $100 million in diamonds, gold, and jewelry from the world's most secure diamond vault. The security was insane. 10 layers including infrared heat detectors, Doppler radar, magnetic fields, seismic sensors, and 100 million possible combinations on the lock. Notarbartolo rented an office in the building 3 years earlier, becoming a familiar face. He meticulously documented every security measure using a hidden camera and a pen. Over a weekend, his 5-man crew called the School of Turin bypassed everything. They used hairspray to defeat heat sensors, tape from magnetic fields, and an aluminum plate to fool the seismic detector. The genius move? They scheduled the heist during a tennis tournament when many diamond dealers were away. They emptied 123 of 189 safety deposit boxes. The actual theft was flawless. No alarms, no witnesses. But Notarbartolo made one mistake. He dumped garbage bags of evidence in a forest. A hunter found them, called police. DNA on a sandwich led to arrests. Notarbartolo got 10 years but only served 4. He claims they only stole $20 million, suggesting someone used them to steal specific items. The rest of the crew vanished. Most diamonds were never recovered, probably recut and sold within days.
Banco Central burglary, the world's greatest tunnel job. 25 thieves stole $70 million from Brazil's central bank by digging a tunnel. On August 6, 2005, they pulled off South America's biggest heist through 3 months of underground work. The gang rented a fake landscaping business 78 meters from the bank. They put up signs for grama sintética, synthetic grass, and neighbors saw workers coming and going daily. What they didn't see, those workers were digging a sophisticated tunnel complete with electric lighting, air conditioning, and wooden supports. Every weekend for 3 months, they tunneled under 2 city blocks. They removed 110 tons of soil, spreading it at legitimate construction sites. The tunnel was engineering perfection, straight line to the vault, bypassing every sensor. On Saturday afternoon, they broke through the vault's floor, specifically choosing a weekend when the bank was closed until Monday. They had 54 hours. They disabled internal cameras, brought in trucks through the tunnel, and methodically emptied the vault. They stole 3.5 tons of 50 real notes. By Monday's discovery, they'd vanished. Police found the tunnel, the fake business, but the thieves had 3 days head start. Only $8 million was recovered. 5 gang members were killed by associates. The mastermind, Luis Fernando Ribeiro, was caught 2 months later, but most money disappeared forever. Banks worldwide redesigned vaults to prevent bottom entry. Gardner Museum heist. The empty frames still hang. 2 men dressed as cops knocked on the Gardner Museum door at 1:24 a.m. on March 18, 1990. They left with $500 million in art, history's largest property theft, and vanished forever. The guards broke protocol by letting them in. The fake cops said they were investigating a disturbance. Once inside, they handcuffed the guards, duct-taped them to pipes in the basement. For 81 minutes, they carefully selected 13 pieces, including Vermeer's The Concert and 3 Rembrandts. Here's the strange part. They ignored more valuable pieces, taking specific artworks like they had a shopping list. They cut paintings from frames, damaging them unnecessarily, suggesting they weren't art experts. They took the security tape recordings but missed the motion detector data that recorded their movements. The FBI has investigated for 33 years. They've traced connections to Boston organized crime, specifically the mob boss Whitey Bulger. In 2013, the FBI announced they knew who did it, but couldn't prosecute. The thieves were likely dead. The paintings probably changed hands multiple times through the criminal underworld. The museum offers a $10 million reward, the largest ever for stolen property. The empty frames still hang where the paintings were, waiting. The museum's director kept her office exactly as it was that night, until she died. No painting has surfaced publicly. They're either destroyed or in a very patient collector's private vault. D.B. Cooper was the only successful air piracy. Dan Cooper bought a one-way ticket from Portland to Seattle for $20. On November 24, 1971, he hijacked the plane and vanished with $200,000, becoming the only person to successfully rob an airplane and escape. Cooper was polite, wearing a business suit and black tie. After takeoff, he handed flight attendant Florence Schaffner a note. "I have a bomb." He showed her red cylinders, wires, and a battery. His demands were specific: $200,000 in $20 bills, 4 parachutes, and fuel trucks ready in Seattle. The FBI and airline agreed immediately. Protocol was to comply with hijackers. In Seattle, passengers deplaned while Cooper inspected the money. He released the 36 passengers but kept crew. He ordered them to fly to Mexico City at low altitude, slow speed, with landing gear deployed. He'd calculated the exact flight configuration. At 8:13 p.m., Cooper lowered the rear stairs and jumped into freezing rain over southwestern Washington. He was never seen again. The FBI found his tie with DNA, but no match. In 1980, a boy found $5,800 along the Columbia River. Serial numbers matched Cooper's bills. Cooper changed aviation forever. Planes got Cooper veins, devices preventing opening rear stairs in flight. All passengers now need ID. The FBI investigated for 45 years before suspending the case. Cooper either died on impact or lived anonymously. Either way, he's the only person who successfully rubbed the sky.
Hatton Garden Heist, the Grandpa Gang. 7 elderly men, average age 63, robbed London's Diamond District of £14 million. Over Easter weekend 2015, they proved retirement doesn't mean retiring from crime. Brian Reeder, 76, masterminded it. These weren't amateurs. They had 250 years of combined criminal experience. They disabled the elevator, rappelled down the shaft like geriatric Mission Impossible, and drilled through 50 centimeters of reinforced concrete into the vault. Their secret weapon was inside knowledge. They knew the building would be empty for 4 days over Easter and Passover holidays. They had the alarm company's protocol. When sensors triggered Thursday night, a guard checked the wrong door and left. The gang returned Friday, finished the job. Using a Hilti DD350 diamond tip drill, they created a hole just big enough to crawl through. Inside, they ransacked 73 safety deposit boxes, filling wheelie bins with gold, diamonds, and cash. Security cameras caught everything, but they disabled the alarm, giving them 50 hours before discovery. Their mistake? Being old-school criminals in a digital age. Police traced their cell phones, recorded their pub conversations. They were bragging within days. Basil, the inside man, was never caught. He knew where cameras had blind spots, had keys, disappeared with millions. 6 were convicted. The oldest, 77, got 7 years. They'd hidden some loot but returned what police found. At least £10 million remains missing, likely buried or stashed by the mysterious Basil.
United California Bank Heist. The perfect score. Emil Dincio and his crew stole $30 million from United California Bank, still America's biggest cash heist accounting for inflation. On March 24, 1972, they cleaned out the entire vault without triggering a single alarm. Dincio was a professional. He'd already robbed 30 banks and studied this one for months. His crew included his brother, nephew, and expert alarm men. They entered through the roof on Friday night, knowing they had until Monday morning. The preparation was extraordinary. They smuggled in 500 pounds of equipment earlier, hiding it above the ceiling tiles. They defeated the alarm system by identifying the exact model and practicing on an identical one they'd purchased. They poured chlorine on the sensors, used medical stethoscopes on the safe, and lined walls with soundproofing. For 64 hours, they systematically opened every safety deposit box. They found $30 million in cash and valuables, equivalent to $200 million today. They even found President Nixon's illegal campaign money, though they didn't know it then. The FBI caught them through a fingerprint on a screwdriver. Dincio got 15 years. Most money was recovered, but millions vanished. The crew had already shipped cash to associates. The heist exposed massive corruption. The dirty money belonged to Nixon's committee. The burglars accidentally uncovered Watergate-level scandal. Dincio was released and immediately robbed more banks. Some people never learn, or never want to.
Securitas Depot robbery, Britain's biggest cash grab. Armed men stole £53 million from the Securitas Depot in Kent, the largest cash robbery in British history. On February 21, 2006, they proved that enough planning could overcome any security. The gang spent 6 months preparing. They filmed inside using a camera hidden in a van's roof. They kidnapped the manager, Colin Dixon, his wife, and 8-year-old child, holding them at gunpoint. Classic tiger kidnapping. Control the family, control the employee. 14 gang members, disguised as police, took over the depot. They tied up 14 employees, loaded cash into a truck for 90 minutes. They left behind £154 million. Couldn't fit it all. They'd stolen used notes, untraceable and ready to spend. Here's the clever part. They immediately started laundering through legitimate businesses, property, and foreign exchange. They bought houses in northern Cyprus, Morocco, and Turkey. They converted cash to assets before police could react. But criminals talk. An inside man's girlfriend went to police when she wasn't paid her share. Cell phone tracking connected everyone. Police recovered 21 million, but 32 million vanished forever. Some went to fund Middle Eastern criminal networks. 5 men got life sentences. The manager and his family were traumatized permanently. Dixon never returned to work. The heist changed British security forever. No depot now holds more than 30 million. They proved that with enough force and planning, any vault could be emptied.
Carlton Hotel jewelry heist, 40 seconds to 136 million. One man with a gun stole $136 million in jewels from Cannes Carlton Hotel in 40 seconds. On July 28, 2013, during the film festival, he pulled off Europe's biggest jewelry heist solo. The thief walked through French stores during Leviev's diamond exhibition. Security was laughable, windows weren't alarmed, guards were unarmed. He wore a baseball cap and scarf, pointed a semi-automatic pistol, and simply took everything. The speed was incredible. He threatened 3 private security guards and 1 employee, swept 72 pieces into a bag, and escaped on foot through French Riviera crowds. Witnesses thought it was a film shoot. Cannes hosts hundreds of movie scenes. This wasn't random. The thief knew exactly when the jewels would be displayed, which pieces were most valuable, and that hotel security couldn't pursue. He likely had inside information about the exhibition's layout and timing. The jewels vanished into the black market immediately. Experts believe they were recut within days, making them untraceable. Insurance paid out, but diamonds that distinctive don't just disappear. They transform. Nobody was ever caught. French police believe it was the Pink Panthers, an international jewel thief network. The lone gunman probably had partners waiting, boats ready. In 40 seconds, he earned more than most countries' annual budgets. The Carlton increased security, but the thief proved that audacity beats technology when nobody expects it. Brussels airport diamond heist is truly a masterpiece in criminal planning and execution. Think about it. 8 masked men cut through an airport fence and stole $50 million in diamonds from a plane. On February 18, 2013, they executed one of aviation's most precise heists without firing a shot. The gang had intelligence from inside Helvetic Airways. They knew exactly when the diamonds would transfer from armored truck to plane, which runway, what time. At 7:47 p.m., 2 vehicles with blue lights, looking like police, drove straight onto the tarmac. The precision was military. They surrounded the plane, ordered everyone to ground in multiple languages, broke into the cargo hold with specialized tools. They knew which specific boxes contained diamonds among regular cargo. In 8 minutes, they loaded 121 packages and vanished into the night. Here's what's brilliant. They never touched passengers. By keeping it to cargo theft, they avoided terrorism charges. They cut through perimeter fence at a construction zone where cameras were disabled. They abandoned the vehicles, burned, destroying DNA evidence. The diamonds were heading to Zurich, part of Antwerp's regular shipments. The thieves knew Monday shipments were largest. Within hours, those diamonds were likely in Antwerp's cutting shops, impossible to trace once cut. 31 people were arrested, but convictions were few. The mastermind got 5 years, light for $50 million. Most diamonds never surfaced. Airport security worldwide changed overnight. Every airport reviewed their perimeter security, but the breach exposed a fundamental flaw. Insider knowledge beats any security system.
The Pink Panthers, the unstoppable network. The Pink Panthers have stolen 330 million euros in 241 heists across 35 countries since 1999. They're not one gang, but a network of 200-plus thieves from the Balkans who revolutionized jewelry theft. Their signature is speed and spectacle. In Dubai, they drove 2 Audis into a mall, through the window of Graf Diamonds, grabbed everything in 35 seconds. In Tokyo, they sprayed fire extinguishers for cover while smashing cases. In Saint-Tropez, they used speedboats for escape. The network formed during Yugoslav wars when soldiers became criminals. They speak multiple languages, hold legitimate passports, and appear wealthy. They cased targets for months, even years. One member worked at a targeted jewelry store for 6 months to learn procedures. Their escapes are legendary. One escaped Swiss prison by having his wife ram the gate during visiting hours. Another climbed out using a rope ladder thrown by accomplices. When caught, they often serve time quietly, then disappear upon release. Interpol estimates they've hit 120 stores in 20 years. They use women as scouts, checking security while shopping. They strike during business hours when safes are open. They know exactly which pieces to grab, always the highest value per weight. Only 70 members have been arrested. The stolen jewels enter the black market immediately, probably through established Balkan smuggling routes. They've proven that organized international crime beats local law enforcement every time.
The Dunbar armored robbery, the inside job king. Alan Pace photographed his workplace for months, then robbed it for $18.9 million. On September 12, 1997, he orchestrated the largest cash robbery in United States history from inside Dunbar Armored. Pace worked as Dunbar's regional safety inspector, giving him complete access. He could examine cameras, test alarms, walk anywhere without suspicion. For 1 year, he recruited 5 childhood friends and planned meticulously. He even removed and replaced security tapes during legitimate inspections. On Friday night, Pace led his crew in through a side door. They ambushed guards during shift change, the only time the vault was open with multiple guards present. They overpowered guards without violence, used their keys, and had 8 hours before discovery. The brilliance was in the timing. Friday night meant businesses had deposited weekly cash. The vault held maximum money. They loaded a U-Haul truck with cash-filled bags, driving multiple loads to a rented warehouse. For years, they succeeded. They laundered money through real estate, businesses, and casinos. But one friend, Eugene Hill, gave his girlfriend a stack of bills still wrapped in Dunbar straps. She went to police during their breakup. Everyone got caught except half the money. Pace got 24 years. About $10 million was never recovered, probably spent slowly over years. Pace maintains innocence despite overwhelming evidence. He proved the greatest threat to any security system walks through the front door every morning.
Northern Bank Robbery, the political heist. The IRA allegedly stole £26.5 million from Northern Bank's Belfast headquarters, though they denied involvement. On December 20th, 2004, this robbery shook Northern Ireland's peace process. The plan took months. Gang members held 2 bank executives' families hostage in their homes. Chris Ward and Kevin McMillan were told their families would die unless they cooperated. Classic tiger kidnapping, but with political implications. On Monday, both executives worked normally all day while their families were held at gunpoint. After closing, they disabled alarms, opened the vault, and helped gang members load cash into boxes labeled as office supplies. The robbers had an entire evening to empty the vault. They stole new and used Northern banknotes, euros, and other currencies. Within days, Northern Bank had to recall and reissue their entire currency, £7 billion worth, making stolen notes worthless. It cost $10 million just to replace the currency. Police blamed the IRA immediately, though they denied it. The robbery nearly collapsed the peace process. Some money appeared in cork, hidden in shopping bags. A bank employee was eventually convicted of conspiracy, but nobody was convicted of the actual robbery. Most money vanished, probably funding paramilitary operations. The case remains officially unsolved. It proved that in Northern Ireland, even bank robberies had political dimensions. Every crime could derail peace.
Societe Generale bank heist, the sewer rats. Albert Spaggiari and his crew spent 2 months crawling through sewers to rob Societe Generale in Nice. On July 19, 1976, they opened 400 safety deposit boxes and partied in the vault, stealing 60 million francs. Spaggiari recruited 10 men from Marseille's underworld. They entered storm drains at night, navigating by memory in complete darkness. For 2 months, they dug through 8 meters of reinforced concrete, working weekends when the bank was closed. The breakthrough came Friday night. They had until Monday morning, 60 hours. But they didn't just rob, they celebrated. They cooked meals on camping stoves, drank wine, and slept in the vault. They welded the vault door shut from inside for privacy. On the wall they wrote, "Without weapons, without violence, without hate." They selected valuable items carefully, leaving cash that could be traced. They took gold, jewelry, and bearer bonds, all untraceable. They escaped through the same tunnel, leaving investigators stunned. Spaggiari was caught 4 months later but escaped during his trial. At a judge's interview, he jumped out a window, landed on a car, and escaped on a waiting motorcycle. He fled to Argentina, sent the judge postcards, and wrote a best-selling book about the heist. He died free in 1989. Most loot vanished forever. The heist inspired dozens of films. Spaggiari proved that style matters. Even in crime, panache beats brutality.